Prepare the ship for an immediate attack.
Look! Look up there in the sky! Spaceships! Thousands of spaceships!
Our mission has failed. We found a deadly creature protecting the Earth. Its name is...
Greetings all, and welcome to Dave's new craft room. And on today's video, I am going to make an alien UFO quilt. It's important for me to welcome the aliens to the planet Earth, and I've actually made a crop circle quilt before in order to welcome the aliens, and that turned out well. I'm going to tell you all about that time in the next video. But of course, I am in New Mexico now, and New Mexico is known for the true story of what happened at Roswell, which I learned all about when I went to the museum there in 2021 with my parents. It was spectacular. And so, you know, this is my first real full video in the craft room, and so I kind of just wanted something basic and easy. In all honesty, everything is not quite set up exactly the way I think I want it, but I'm also not sure, and I realized that the only way to figure it out is I have to actually do a project in here, so then I can sort of iron out the kinks in real life. And as soon as I conceived of this idea, I got on eBay. Well, first of all, I didn't have to get on eBay because I had a lot of this alien fabric already. But I did buy some of this UFO fabric. And then this kind of greenish night sky, outer space sky is going to be like a background slash stashing kind of. And then I did go on eBay and I bought a few t-shirts. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this one in. I'll show you that in a second. This one definitely, and this is one I got in Roswell. And I love the wolf howling at the moon. And then these are kind of old from eBay. And I think there's 5 here. Yeah. This one I have not checked yet, but this one looks like the colors that glow in the dark, right? So we'll see if it does. And then I'm literally, and this has a jackalope on it, and it's brown. And that's why I'm kind of on the fence about whether I'm going to use it, because, I mean, it's not a jackalope quilt, and it's brown. So I don't know if it's going to fit, but I'll figure it out later. And also on my journey, I now have this 12.5-inch ruler. I bought this 12.5-inch ruler because it was the size of my Baltimore album blocks, which Baltimore album quilt is still ongoing in the background. Anyway, the point is, for this quilt, what is going on? For this quilt, I'm literally just gonna cut squares out of the fabric and make a quilt out of it. I really just needed something to get me going in this craft room. You know what I mean? So like, and I think the quilt's gonna be cute. Good. You know, if we cut a tiny bit off the edge, it's not the end of the world, but I want to make sure we're getting the majority of the design. I just remembered I have something else. I forgot about this. Here we go. This is it. I think this has a bunch of mythical creatures on it. Okay. This is a panel. Me and my mom, when I went home to visit my mom, we went to a bunch of quilt shops and found this in one of them. I don't know that I'm gonna... It's just a little bit too small. Yeah, I can either cut it. No, I won't use it. It's not gonna fit. I want to use the whole panel, and I envisioned a different quilt for this, so I'm gonna use this for a different quilt. These mythical creatures. So that's fine. We won't use this today. We will use the rest. I actually think I have plenty of stuff. So first step. No, I don't want to use that. Is gonna be to. Where's my rotary cutter? Oh, it's here. Is going to be to interfacing these t-shirts, interface them, cut everything into squares. That's how I can figure out how much more to fill in with this stuff. So let's do it.
As I was making this quilt, I was reminded of a brief run-in I had with some aliens a few years ago. It all started when I was dating this military guy called Douglas. I forgot what rank he was. It was like a colonel or a master chief or lieutenant brigadier or something like that. To be honest, he was tall and he wore a flight suit, and I didn't really know what he did, and I didn't ask too many questions either.
What's that thing shining below?
Looks like a fireball. Better check.
One day he was gone for a particularly long time. His commander called me into the office to let me know that some sort of mysterious mishap had taken place, but he was unwilling to give me any details. He said I was lucky enough just to get called in. Douglas turned out to be safe and sound, but he was not able to recall any details about what happened to him, and he inexplicably had a scar on his chest that was not there before.
Can't you recall anything that happened from the time your plane crashed? I remember the controls froze. The next thing I saw was the main gate of the base. You don't remember where you got this? I must have got it in a crash. Now, this was surgery. A very skillful incision. I've never had an operation.
Alright, stay tuned to hear the rest of the story, but back to my quilt. I'm cutting out 12.5-inch pieces of the fabric and t-shirts, and then I put them on the design wall to figure out a layout. I put a link to some of the fabrics below, although these fabrics have been in my stash for a long time, and some of them are not readily available anymore. Alright, so I'm gonna take this green right here, and I'm gonna border the blocks with a very thin layer of this, a thin strip. I think 1 inch, or actually, yeah, 1 inch. No, 3/4 of an inch. And then I might also take, oh, I did a horrible job. And then I might also take this green, or maybe a different shade if I can find a different shade of green. Actually, I don't see, where are my solids? And then do some applique of alien faces onto some of the backgrounds just to add a little bit more interest. But, okay, what did I say? 3/4 of an inch, which means I need to cut 1 inch and a quarter. Border the blocks once on all 4 sides with this green, and then these that I cut will be the sashing in the border. So pretty much like the background. Douglas was mostly fine after the mishap, but he couldn't sleep, and he kept dreaming about these giant ping pong ball eyes staring at him. He was also frustrated at work because his boss was convinced that he wasn't fit to do the job anymore.
Results of the test will be available for your study when you return to work. I am ready, Colonel.
To us, you're still a very sick man. My advice to you is to go home and relax, as you were ordered.
Relax.
The next part of the story is a little bit questionable, but apparently, according to what he told me, Doug was so anxious to be involved in his work again that he decided to steal some research findings, which he felt should have belonged to him anyway. Then he inexplicably drove out into the middle of the desert in New Mexico. Doug was under a lot of stress, and he couldn't get the ping pong ball eyes out of his head. And the FBI finally caught up with him and brought him in. No way there's 4 pairs in here. That's 8. There's not 8 in here for sure. We got 1 of the pairs. We're gonna get 2 pairs out of this. Okay, I need 2 more pairs, and let's see what I can scrounge up. I guess this is close. This is literally the best I can do. I feel like it's the olden days when people just used whatever they had. Well, I do the same thing today. I just use whatever I have. Is it really all that important that everything's matchy-matchy? Not to me. Okay, so I'm gonna mix them in here too because I want them to appear in a random location. You won't even notice. Let's get the blocks. Okay, I'm gonna just try to juice them up a little bit with some raw edge applique.
I need to do it backwards on here. I got my scraps of this flexi fuse. You can definitely trace this off of like an iPad. I like it to look a little bit imperfect. That's why I like to just draw it freehand.
They actually gave him a truth serum in order to figure out what happened to him during that whole ordeal that he couldn't remember, and which is illegal, by the way, and a violation of Doug's Fifth Amendment rights, and I'm suing.
What did you give him? Sodium amytal. Truth serum.
But apparently, under the influence of truth serum, he told this wild, true story about how he was abducted and held captive by a group of aliens from Astron Delta in their underground base outside of Roswell.
I remember we were circling the atomic cloud. There was an object glowing beneath us. We were going down to investigate. Controls jammed. When I regained consciousness, I was on a table. Next thing I knew, it was coming at me.
Who are you? What are you doing to me?
Can't you speak? Who are you?
Step forward.
Who are you?
A scientist, like yourself.
Where do you come from?
From a planet, yet unknown to you.
You know my name. You speak English.
We speak every language. You have a remarkable memory, Doctor, considering the fact that you did not survive the crash.
What do you mean?
The mechanism of your heart had ceased to function. It was necessary for us to revive it. You were dead.
I was dead. So that's what they were doing.
You are the first of your world to be looking at our solar system, the Astron. This is our planet, Astron Delta. During the 23rd time rotation, our sun began to die. Our eyes developed to this state to combat the ever-growing darkness. We were forced to migrate. We have been putting our plan to work for some time. We are accumulating the energy released with each of your atomic explosions.
I didn't even realize he was working with nuclear energy, but it turns out they actually hypnotized him to get him to steal the data and give it to them.
You will listen to my orders and obey me. You will listen and obey. Listen
And obey.
You will remember nothing you have seen or heard here. Nothing but my orders which you will obey.
Yes.
You will obtain the data and bring it to the stone near the place where your plane was wrecked. At the proper moment, the invasion will be launched from our platforms, which are being readied in space. Nothing can stop us.
Insane. This is ridiculous.
You cannot find your way in or out of this cavern. Do not try to leave.
They needed to take over our planet because they ruined Astron Delta. And so they created these giant carnivorous insects by using nuclear energy harvested from Doug's tests.
It's horrible. What are you doing here?
We are breeding our, shall I say, armies.
Those carnivorous insects and animals? What have you done to them?
Their growth is due to a change in their genes. With your next nuclear test, these animals will multiply at a rate beyond imagination. When time comes, we will unleash them. They will spread to every continent and devour every living thing on the surface of the earth.
Inches. Oh, this quilt is going to be huge. I don't think I envisioned it being as big as it is. And I can tell you I think it's going to be very striking. And I love this background outer space color. Cool. This is the block I'm going to do the applique on, where it says I believe. This one, sorry. Just don't show up. I want it on this one, but the colors it's not dark enough to show up. I'm gonna put it on this black. I'll do most of the applique letters, and then one letter has to go off the side, so I'll wait and do that after I piece stashing in. Cool, now that'll get roughed up a little bit in the wash and it'll look like the way I want it to. Alright people, so the Alien Quilt top is done. I have not put a backing together yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the backing. And I'm going to get the quilt long-armed. And the thing is that for the last long time, I have not lived anywhere near long armor, which is not the only reason I didn't do it. I like quilting my quilts. And this is the thing. I've had a lot of people reach out to me offering to long arm my quilts for me. And it's like, but then I wouldn't get to do it myself. Like, I love quilting. I do feel like this particular quilt with the aliens, if I can get the long armor to do UFOs, like flying saucers or alien heads or something, then that would be cool, and that would be something I wouldn't be able to achieve very easily on my free motion. If I was to do free motion quilting, I know I can do free motion quilting, but I'm not like that level where I could do like images and stuff like what you can do with a long arm. So that's why I've made the decision for this quilt, and that's it. So I also want to tell you, I'm just going to give you a heads up now. I don't like surprising people. Next week there's going to be a bonus video. This is all the leftovers, and I want to sew these up into a quilt, and I'm going to do that on next week's bonus video. Bonus meaning it comes in between my regularly scheduled every other week Tuesdays. But speaking of that, my videos come out every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, but however, since I now live in New Mexico, I'm going to start saying noon Mountain Time, because it's the same time. Noon Mountain Time is same as 2 p.m. Eastern. There's really no change in what time the videos go live. If you're in Eastern Time, it's still 2 p.m. Eastern. By the way, like and subscribe to my channel. I make quilting videos that come out every other Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, except next week there's going to be an additional one. Cool. That's all.
What happened next is Doug realized the Astron Deltans needed electricity to run their machines that harness and control the nuclear energy, so that if he could just cut off their power, they would lose control of the energy and their base would explode.
Wait a minute. All this equipment?
Our nuclear storage units. To date, we have accumulated several billion electron volts as a result of your atomic explosions.
Several billion. Why, a chain reaction at this point could release enough unstable isotopes to create a new and powerful element. Might be impossible to control.
True.
So you control your whole operation by electricity. Of course, no generators. That means you're getting your power from somewhere on the surface. It must be passing through here.
You have heard enough, Dr. Martin.
I figured it out. It's all here. Here's the nuclear strength of our last test, and this is the amount of electricity needed to control it.
Where could they get that much electric power?
Only one way. They must tap it from the main lines at the powerhouse. All we have to do is to cut it off.
Cut off the power? We can't do that. It would cause untold damage for miles around.
8 to 10 seconds, that's all I need. That gap in supply will short out their resistors and the whole thing will go up. But you won't go along with that. No.
I hoped we could find another way and get along with the Astron Deltans, but once I realized they weren't willing to negotiate, I encouraged Doug to find a way to shut off the power, even though I knew it would be dangerous.
Hey, what's the matter with you? You sleepwalking or something, mister?
Where are the switches that control the solar that blast area?
I said, where are they? Now, look, mister, be reasonable.
I said cut it. Go on.
That'll turn the power off for 100 miles.
Do as I say. Give me 10 seconds after I cut the power. If I'm insane, nothing will happen and you can do what you want with me. But if I'm right. Now.
Oh! The power went out!
8.
You blew them to pieces.
Successful! Doug was a hero! We stayed together for a little while after that, and then things got weird and we broke up. Anyway, this is the final result of my alien quilt. The long arm quilting turned out so stunning, and I love the results.
I guess I'm ready. I don't know how this is actually done. I literally went to the grocery store today just for this gag. Oh, it's loud. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is so stupid. Yeah. Wonder if I can do it with my foot. Okay, act like I'm sewing, act normal.
And you can click the link here to check out the time I made a crop circle quilt. Thank you for coming to Dave's Craft Room. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and please come again.